Hi, let us look into part 26 of the AWS Cloud Practitioner real certification questions. So we will look at questions related to these topics: SQS, Internet Gateway, Glacier, root user, and least privilege. Do not forget to subscribe and hit the like button if you like my videos. The subscriptions help me understand the pulse of the audience, and accordingly I can post the contents. So let us jump into the questions. Question number 156. See, this question is talking about a service which will help you transmit, save, and receive messages. That means it is a something like a message broker. So if you see here, step functions, it is not a message broker, but it is a visual workflow for distributed applications. Basically, it is used for orchestration. You can orchestrate what function will fire first, what will fire next. For example, here the check inventory and hold product goes first, then the bill customer, then the ship product. If you want to create this kind of orchestration, then you use this service called step functions. Step functions will not help you transmit, save, and receive the messages. So step function is wrong. Similarly, if you see SNS is used to send emails. So it is a pub kind of service which is used to send emails and notifications based on a particular set of events and etc. So if you see this, publisher sends to SNS, and SNS you have different things like SNS topics, you can filter, fan out, and so on. And then you can also see if you want to push this to SQS and so on. So if you want to send notifications, then you use SNS. So in this example, do you want to send notifications? No. So that's why this is wrong. Now data streams and SQS both are able to transmit, save, and receive messages. Now which ones we should choose? Since we are talking about FIFO here, so you see this is underlined here, FIFO, that is first in and first out. So let us first look at SQS, fully managed queuing service for microservices. Okay, this is something which is able to transmit and receive messages. This is what we need in this case. So there is a producer, there is a consumer here, and in between SQS sends the messages and it encrypts and sends the messages to consumers. Plus SQS is able to do first in first out queues that are designed to enhance messaging between applications when the order of operations is critical. If you want that the message should be processed in the same order, then you use SQS. So for me, SQS is the right answer, but let us also look at Kinesis data streams. See, the main purpose is to easily stream data at any scale. For example, you have sensors or IoT devices. The Kinesis data stream is majorly used for that purpose. It will keep streaming the data. The order of the data is not so important. So now this is a good article where they are trying to compare Kinesis versus Amazon SQS. This is a very good article. You can Google it and read it. This will clearly tell you what is the main difference. See, like I told you, the main difference here is Kinesis data stream cannot do FIFO and SQS can do FIFO. If you have FIFO requirements, use SQS. So we will mark this answer and move forward to question 157. See, this is a question on VPC's internet gateway. What is the function of the internet gateway? So if you see this documentation, it clearly says that the purpose of internet gateway is to allow communication between VPC and the internet. So that means this one, option B, this is my right answer, and the others are not right, because if you see the first one, to create VPN connection to the VPC, so this is not used to create a VPN connection, so that's why this is wrong. C says to impose bandwidth constraints on internet traffic. No, internet gateway is not used to put any constraint. It is an enabler and not a disabler. I repeat, it is an enabler and not a disabler. So that's why this is wrong. And D says to load balance traffic. So for load balancing, we have elastic load balancers, and the purpose of elastic load balancer is to balance the load between the EC2 instances or the servers. So there are different types of elastic load balancers, but that is not the key here. So since load balancing is a function of load balancer and not of internet gateway, we will cross this as well. So this is my final answer. Let's look at question number 158. So here we are talking about a corporation that is constructing a new archiving system capable of storing terabytes of data. So whenever you think about archiving system, you think about S3 storage type, then what the answer should be? The answer should be S3 storage, the Glacier storage class. This is a very secure and a durable storage class. So if you scroll down, you can see all the documentation related to this, and in the benefits is it gives you retrievals in milliseconds, unmatched durability and scalability, and it is highly secured. So we know our answer here, S3 Glacier, we got our answer, but what about other types? If you see infrequent access, that is not used for archiving. Infrequent access is, for example, if you don't, if that file is not, or the object is not used frequently, but it requires rapid access, then you cannot keep it in the archive, so you have to keep it here. But this question is totally asking about archiving. So in infrequent access, it is still used but not very frequently, and archiving is like it is never used, probably it will be used once a year for a compliance perspective, and hence this is a wrong answer. Now let us look at C. C talks about intelligent tiering. So intelligent tiering means it is intelligent, right? So it will decide which tier it has to place, whether it has to keep the objects in the standard tier or one zone, IA or glacier, etc., based on the access, or it will automatically decide what is the frequency of that access, and based on that it will save your money for you. So this is not used for archiving. Okay, this tier is used to save money by intelligently. So you cannot decide, right? Always you have thousands and thousands of objects in your buckets, so you will not be manually doing this, you will be using intelligent tiering. Or if you want to do it manually, then you would put a storage life cycle, because the storage life cycle will help transition from one layer to the other or one storage class to the other and set expiration actions. And then you have one zone infrequent access, just like S3 infrequent access. One zone is the data is only stored in one zone, so that is why it is even more cheaper than standard IA. It is just stored in one zone, but it is only used if the data is not frequently used but the access is required rapidly. That is the purpose of it. So this is my final answer for 158. Now let us look at question 159. It talks about the root user of AWS account. So what is a root user? Basically, it is trying to ask that. So the root user is the only user that can be configured with MFA? No, it is not the only user. With MFA, you can configure any user and not only root user. And what is the purpose of MFA? Because when you are using your username and password, it will give you one additional multi-factor authentication, just like some code or SMS on your app, which is installed on your mobile phone and so on. So that is the purpose of MFA, to doubly secure your access. So A is wrong because MFA is not only for root user account. Now B says root user is the only user that can access the management console. No, boss. The other users can also access the management console. So this is wrong. C says the root user is the first sign-in identity that is available. So this is correct. This is perfect. This is the first identity or one identity that has complete access to all AWS services and resources. So this is what is correct. So we will mark C as the right answer, but let us look at D. So D is talking about the root user has a password that cannot be changed. No, boss, that is incorrect. Anything, any user, root user, admin user, or any general business user, you can change password for all of them. So this is totally foolish option. So this is my right answer. Now let us look at the last question for this part, that is 160. We will look at many more new questions for Cloud Practitioner in the subsequent videos as well. So we all know that there is a best practice called fewest possible privilege. It is also called least privilege permissions. So this is a very important best practice of AWS. For example, you have a house and you have a cook who is coming to the house. Will you give the keys to all the rooms? No, you will only give the keys to the main door, and you will only give the keys to the kitchen. You will not give her the keys for the bedroom. Similarly, if you are getting into a building, for example, if you're working for TCS, Infosys, whatever, when you get in there and suppose there is a client visit or a visitor, they just give access to the floor that they are required to go in, maybe first floor, just second floor, and so on. They do not give access to all the buildings and all the locations for that company. Similarly here, fewest possible privilege, that means you just give the privilege that is actually required to do that work. Don't give more privilege, don't give less privilege. So if you see here D, this means apply an IAM policy only to IAM users who require it. This is something which adheres to this best practice, and that's why D is my answer. But let us look at other options. So the first one says apply IAM policy to IAM group and limit the size of that group. So see, we can apply that to the group and limit the size means in the group you are putting users. You are saying that instead of 100 users, you limit it to 50 users. But what if all of them need access? So this is something which see, you are limiting the size of the group, but what if you are giving access to all systems to that group? So the best practice should adhere to what policy you are applying. What if it's a small group but you have given admin access to drop the database also? That will be wrong, right? So this will not suffice. And B says require multi-factor authentication for all IAM users. See, multi-factor is a good security measure, but it is not related to fewest possible privilege or the least privilege. Even if you have MFA and you are supposed to have admin access, you can still have that. So that is not something related to least privilege. And C says require each IAM user who has different permissions to have multiple passwords. So this is wrong. See, one IAM user can have one password only. So this is, it is not like if one IAM user is an admin, he has an admin password, and the same user is also a business analyst, he has a business analyst password. That is not correct. So this is my final answer. So do not forget to hit the subscribe button. See, there are so many other contents on this video. There is a playlist on Learn on the Fly. This playlist, there are so many educational information here. You can go to advanced certifications like AWS Data Analytics. There is a whole playlist there. And if you want to understand more new features of AWS, you have this playlist, the third one, where I have put all the new features that is coming. Plus, you have so many more playlists. So do not forget to subscribe to this channel, because this channel will help you clear cloud certifications, develop knowledge to excel in your own career. So this brings us to the end of this part 26. We will look, or we will meet you again in part 27. In this part, we covered questions linked with these topics. Very important. And remember, these are all latest questions and real questions. See you in the next part.